well. But right now, it's Caleb Saylors, multimedia journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News.
Yeah, you're stuck with me right now, Gerard.
All right, Caleb. Well, not quite as busy a week because the legislature wasn't in session. However, a lot of stuff kind of got crammed into the last few days of the session last week. Before
extended deadlines and all.
Yeah, finally signing dying on Saturday. You wrote us a great article, published at SuperTalk Mississippi News, our website, supertalk.fm, where you provided a recap of the major items the legislature considered, what passed, what died, and kind of what it looks like from here. So give us some information there.
I will say, though, it has been nice. I was able to take a deep breath on Saturday after they signed it. I was like, this is what life is like without the legislative session now. But, yeah, we had a lot that has now gone into law. Governor Tate Reeves has signed a lot of these bills into law, a lot of things that passed, and a lot of big-ticket items that did not pass. But we'll start with some of the big things that passed. And I think the biggest one is a historical bill that was signed into law by Governor Tate Reeves. It's the Mississippi School Funding Formula. So for the first time in 27 years, we will have an entirely new funding mechanism for K through 12 public education in Mississippi. You know, and this was one, Gerard, I know you and I had talked off the air a lot about this. We didn't see this coming to fruition the way it did, and it took the Senate to have a change of heart and a change of mind to get this spiral in motion. And so I credit this as a really big win for House Speaker Jason White in his first term as House Speaker. He made it clear that he was not going to fund the Mississippi Adequate Education Program. Once more, he said, we're not doing it again, and they didn't. The House was adamant on changing the school funding formula. They were met with resistance by the Senate. The Senate was like, no, let's just keep the existing formula intact, and let's just make modifications to it. And the House did not budge. Like, no, it's our way or the highway. And the Senate ended up coming around after, you can read up on all the infighting and all the things that the two chambers try to do to usurp each other throughout the process on our website at supertalk.fm. But essentially, though, we have a new funding formula. It was called the Inspire Act at first, but one of the Senate's conditions was, we'll go with what you guys like, but just up the base, the minimal base student costs a little bit, tweak that, and then get rid of the name, change it to something else. And so Mississippi pupils will receive about $7,000, close to $7,000 per pupil, and now more money can be added if the student has disabilities, special needs, etc. And the goal is to provide more money to school districts that need it more funding towards those that are in impoverished areas, and to help out with students that have greater needs than others. And I think the House Speaker said all but about 12 districts in the state will receive more funding from this. And I know it's an additional $218 million that's going towards public education in Mississippi. So that's one thing they got passed. And we've been talking about MAEP for several years now, since it had only been fully funded 3 times since its implementation in 1997, and now something was actually done on it. Another bill that was signed into law, another one that was passed, is a public safety one. It's a ban on squatted vehicles. I know Representative Fred Shanks, good friend of the program, has come on, talked about it numerous times. And you guys know these vehicles. They're the trucks or cars that are tilted. It looks like they're kind of like at a 45-degree angle. They're 4 or more inches.
I don't see how you see.
You don't drive. Well, Representative Shanks said he took a test drive in one of them and was like, you can't see anything. And tragically, earlier this year, Gerard, we had a little girl, 6-year-old girl, that was killed in Smith County by someone that was driving a squatted vehicle. And we've had numerous officials in public safety that are like, yeah, these vehicles are not safe. You can't see. You don't know what's going on. And then the lights. If you're on a 2-lane highway, a lot of them have these bright LED lights, and they blind you. I mean, I almost got into a wreck driving home one night because one of those was crossing me on a 2-lane highway. You can't see it all. And so the law will go into effect July 1st. So from July 1st until January 27th of next year, law enforcement will be issuing warnings. You're not going to get a ticket. You're not going to get a citation. The only ticket you'd get would be a warning. You're not going to get a citation. It's just, hey, you either need to lower this vehicle or suspend it to where it's equal on both sides. And then after that, though, after January 27th of next year, there will be fines attached, and you can read more on those fines on our website. And another public safety bill that was passed and signed into law by the governor is it's now illegal to manufacture, sell, or own machine gun conversion devices, also known as Glock switches. this is one that DPS Commissioner Sean Tyndall talked about. I know he's come on our airwaves and discussed it, how these devices are very dangerous. And you see a lot of crime that happens, not just in Jackson, but all throughout Mississippi, is a lot of these criminals will convert their weapons. And, I mean, it's incredibly dangerous. You have a semi-automatic weapon that you can convert into a fully automatic one and inflict a lot more danger on other people. It's illegal to make them. It's illegal to sell them or have them in Mississippi now. And it kind of gives law enforcement more ability to crack down on criminals and violent criminals, too. And so that was a big win for public safety. Both of those, in my opinion, are big wins for public safety in Mississippi. Now on to bills that died. We did not get Medicaid expansion this year. I know there were proposals from both chambers. The House wanted to go up to 138% of the federal poverty level, and some being covered by managed care organizations, others covered by the exchange. The Senate had its plan up to 100%. We've discussed this ad nauseum. Nothing came to fruition. I will say House Minority Leader Robert Johnson had a last-ditch effort to try to send a proposal to CMS, say, hey, look, let's just pass this, send it to CMS with a work requirement attached to it. If they accept it, cool, we can have Medicaid expansion in Mississippi. But if they reject it, oh, well, at least we tried. That effort proved futile. The legislature was like, no, we're not going to do that. And so one thing, Gerard, we got to figure out where we go from here, because a lot of the narratives regarding Medicaid expansion is expanding coverage for the working poor in Mississippi. And not that there's anything wrong with wanting to cover the working poor in the state, but one thing you've highlighted a lot, and we've talked about this in our reporting too, is, hospitals, uncompensated care in hospitals. And that's what's driving a lot of the problems in these rural hospitals in Mississippi, putting them at the brink of closure. I believe Greenwood LaFleur is upwards of 85% of their care is uncompensated. I believe someone said that on this program.
The mayor, Carolyn McAdams, said 80%. Yeah.
Yes, and how do you run a business? How do you run? And people don't realize hospitals are businesses. How do you run a business? How do you run a hospital when the lion's share of your services are not being covered? And so Medicaid expansion was kind of a stopgap that would allow the care to be covered. And so now Mississippi's going to have to figure out other ways to help these hospitals out. I know the governor had his proposal that was offered, I believe, October of last year, and CMS has approved both legs of it. So that's upwards of $700 million that have gone to hospitals. And, the hospitals are definitely not angry about that money going to them, but they definitely need more assistance, and we'll see what happens next year. I believe Medicaid expansion will be brought back up next year. We had mobile sports betting that died in Mississippi, and that was one bill that I was kind of shocked that died, because last year they didn't pass a bill to legalize mobile sports betting, but to put together a task force that was led by legislative figures and the gaming commissioner of Mississippi. And the study showed that states that have mobile sports betting have seen large gains in revenue. Gerard, North Carolina just recently legalized mobile sports betting, and within the first week of its implementation had almost $200 million in wagers placed. Wow. Now, I'm not saying Mississippi would have that exactly, because we don't have a big metropolitan city like Charlotte, but the gaming commissioner told me over the phone, I talked to him for an article that we wrote, and he told me that Mississippi would definitely see gains in revenue immediately with mobile sports betting. Especially
estimated at $25 million. Casey Uri, the representative who authored the bill in the House.
Correct. And you have states like Alabama that neighbor Mississippi that don't have it. Yeah. And so a lot of people from Alabama come to Mississippi to visit our casinos, but a lot of them would also just cross the border just to place wagers.
Same with the lottery. Alabama doesn't have that.
Exactly. And I have friends and family members that live in North Mississippi, in South Haven area. They literally drive into Memphis to place wagers on games, then drive back into Mississippi. Yep. Why not have that here in the state? And I know a lot of it probably has to do with protecting the brick and mortar casinos, but there were measures implemented into the bill placed by Representative Casey Uri that would benefit the casinos. Any third-party mobile sports betting entity would have to partner with the Mississippi casino to run its operations. And so the casinos would still be getting the revenue, and they would also be able to offer their rewards programs to Mississippians too. But it didn't pass this year, and so we'll see if I know Representative Fred Shanks, we mentioned him earlier, he said he's going to bring it up next year if someone else doesn't.
Real quick, baseball.
Mississippi State's hot right now, hot, and looks like they're going to be a host team if they play well at Arkansas this weekend, and then next weekend take care of business against Missouri. I'll tell you what, Gerard, the Bulldogs, if they keep playing as hot as they are and make a little run in the SEC tournament, they could be a national seed.
They look pretty good.
Yes, and the Golden Eagles, Southern Miss, looking to be about a 2 or 3 seed in a tournament, and Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball said Southern Miss might possibly land up in Starkville in a regional.
Yeah, Well, we appreciate the great update there, Caleb. Once again, everybody go out and check out the article that Caleb authored. That was late last week, right? Saturday, right after Signy died, which is a good recap of what got through and what didn't.
That's right. Thanks, Gerard.
Yeah, man, we're coming right back in the Element